What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I have massive unboxing number 14. This is another massive unboxing coming shortly after the Christmas unboxing that I had, as I did have a few extra models on order that were going to arrive after the holiday, and figured I would separate it into its own unboxing video. So this is not the entirety of massive unboxing 14, as I will be making another order here in the future that will be sort of the bulk of all the unboxing stuff for this massive unboxing. So I'll have that hopefully in within the next week or so, hopefully. So this comes from Waffle Collectibles, shipped on USPS, and I mention that because, well, before I dig any deeper, there has been some damage to the box, and you can see little indentation there in the corner, and they set this in snow, so the bottom of this was completely wet, and part of it was actually covered in snow when I picked it up. So let me find, there was a hole here, and there it is right there. And actually, I was shaking it earlier. I thought I heard something rattling in there, but we'll have to see if there is anything broken with any of these models. But I did a 3-model order with Waffle Collectibles, and should have some pretty good stuff in here. Picked up some stuff from a collection sale, other stuff was just more general stuff that he had in stock. So the first model that we have up here is the Gemini Jets 1/400 scale Air Canada Express CRJ 900. So figured I would get this model because a couple airports, like random model airports I could do, for instance, would get this plane, so I figured I would get this for myself. Just upon initial glance, the Air Canada looks okay. Next up, this is more of a general retro pleasure model. We have the JetX 1/400 scale Braniff International Boeing 727-200 in the Flying Colors blue livery. So I always liked the Flying Color stuff that Braniff had back in the day, and I figured I'd get myself one of these, so hopefully... yeah, this one sounds like it's rattling, but again, the JetX models are known to come with a stand, so maybe that's what I was hearing all along. And then the third and final model, this one I've been most excited to get because it's been such a great model, and I've heard a lot of great things from other collectors, so I figured I'd get it myself as it's trying to open itself up in the box. We have the Alaska 737 MAX 9 in the Orca livery. I am so excited to have this one. Looks really good in the box, and I'm super excited to unbox this. So without further ado, let's head up to the studio and let's unbox these 3 models. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1/400 scale Air Canada Express Bombardier CRJ 900. I've always wanted one of these Air Canada CRJ 900s and just some of the more general Air Canada stuff overall. I do have the CRJ 200 in the two-space livery, and I do kind of want the one in the new livery as well, but I think the CRJ 900 is a little more applicable here since they do send these things to a couple of cities in the US. So there is the model inside, your standard Gemini Jets pamphlet information there, nothing too interesting. And on the back, 2022 release. I don't remember what month they released this in, I don't have that off the top of my head. And then there's the Waffle database number there once again, so we'll just put that up here at the top. And the item number on this thing is GJACA2030. So here we go. First model for this new massive unboxing, one of the first for 2023. Super excited for what's to come with the channel. And here we go. Very nice. Landing gear in good condition, and this is such a solid model here. Very applicable. I love it. And here she is, the Air Canada Express CRJ 900 by Gemini Jets. Wonderful looking little model here, so let's go ahead and get a review going on this. So starting off at the front, got the nose cone there, and you have the cockpit windows, and I got some other little details right there, so I'll go ahead and check those out there, and obviously get a good look there at the nose gear. Looks like I can't fully see that just through the viewfinder. It looks like it might be just like who operates it and all that stuff. Got a little Star Alliance logo right there as well, the Air Canada Express titles. Then you got the window line there as well, and your overwing exits. Registration on this is Charlie-Golf Juliet Alpha November, and probably the reason why Gemini Jets chose to do this because it had GJ in the registration. You can see it right there, obviously. And a little Bombardier CRJ 900 titles there underneath. And then you have the Air Canada tail up here as well, and we'll check out those horizontal stabilizers, and they do have that bit of a downward angle, especially the port one. The starboard one looks okay, but then again, not really much I can do about that, unfortunately. It is what it is. I would try to fix it, but that'd be too much of a hassle. But the good news is that the landing gear is in the correct configuration. The first release that they did of this aircraft, it did have some issues, unfortunately, where the gear was glued in the wrong way, and it was really almost like touching each other, basically, like the Delta and American RJ9s that I have in my collection. So kind of glad that they got that sorted out, and I would wish they would do another release of those with the corrected landing gear, but who knows when that's going to happen again. So might as well just take what we can have, or take what we can get, and just live with it. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next model. And here we go for the unboxing of the JetX 1:400 scale Braniff International Boeing 727-200 in the flying colors blue livery. So this is another model that I've always wanted in my collection, at least one of the flying colors Braniff planes. Now I do want one of the Jelly Bean ones as well, especially the BAC 111, because that's very applicable for retro FSD, so I would love to get my hands on one of those if I could. But the problem is Aeroclassics made those a very, very long time ago, and I've not seen one appear on eBay in quite a while, so Lord knows when that's going to show up again, or if Aeroclassics will be willing to do another one, but that's a story for another time. Got a beautiful box here with the JetX Braniff 727. Got the JetX logo up here. Limited edition 1,500 units. Got the Braniff International logo, Boeing 727-200. And a beautiful background photo of the flying colors tail there. And then there's the little credit for the photo as well. Flip it to the bottom here. There's the database number. I'll just kind of set that over here for the moment. Got the edit number up here, which is JX030. Distributed exclusively by JetX Millennium Series, Boeing 727-200, and then Braniff International again. And then here's a side of it where you have just some more general information along with a little address there, or city, state, zip code, and where they're at, along with a website domain for JetX, which I'm not sure that's still functional. And the back of the box is basically the same. Nothing too special here. And then there's the top. Here's the other side, which is manufactured by Dragonwing, so you could consider this like a Dragonwing slash JetX model, but because it has a JetX logo on it, I like to consider it as a JetX. So let's go ahead and hop in. So these models open from the top, which I'm not sure why they do that, but kind of unique compared to Gemini jets where they always open from the sides. And here we go, and obviously what we had rattling in there was another stand, as with all JetX models and Dragonwings models. They came with those little stands, along with a little landing gear instruction manual on how to attach it with the gear up or gear down configuration. Other side is just blank. And then we have the model in here, which looks like it's in good condition. That is the good news. Got a little extra cutout there for the other part of the gear there, which would be the gear up, because it comes with the gear down configuration already installed. Let's go ahead and take this out. Right. Oh man, this looks so good. Wow. Has a lot more weight to it than I thought it would, but my goodness, this looks really good. Love the blue on this thing. They chose a really good color when they painted these planes, so very nice. And here she is, the Braniff International Boeing 727-200 in the flying colors blue livery by JetX. Such a wonderful model, and obviously blue is my favorite color. I mean, you can tell because the wall in my room is painted a blue, which is kind of similar to the blue that they have on here. This one is a little bit darker than the blue that's painted on the wall there, as you can see. But otherwise, this is a very nice blue. So the flying colors livery was introduced in around the late 60s, early 70s. It was mainly for the 1970s, rather. And they did take on a two-tone design compared to the end of the plane era stuff, which was also known as a jelly bean because they always had those bright, bold colors like the jelly beans that you can get at like the candy store or whatever. So they had various colors for the jelly bean era. And when the two-tone stuff came around for the flying colors, they did drop all those old colors and they replaced it with some new ones here. So this is the blue, light blue livery technically, because you do have the light blue there on the belly of the aircraft, and then obviously you have the blue there on the top, which is what you can see the best. So starting off at the front up here, we've got the cockpit windows, got the L1 door, the Braniff International titles, and a little registration there, which is November 410 Bravo November. And then we have the flying colors title there on the tail, just above the, or just next to the tail engine, and then the BI logo there with a nice stripe there behind it, behind the logo. Then we flip underneath, we do have a little production number here, or production number. This is the 962nd model that they've made. I'll just check that just to be sure. Or 952nd, sorry, out of the 1,500 total that they have produced for this particular model. So very nice right there. And then there's another look at the bottom again. Got a nice like metal polish there underneath it as well. Otherwise, the undercarriage here, it's pretty basic, nothing too special here, but because you can remove it and put on like a gear up configuration, that makes it all worth it. Now, I didn't show this in Massive Unboxing 13 when I got the Northwest 747, since I kind of forgot about it. I'll kind of go ahead and show it here with the stand and stuff. So it comes in this little like plastic baggie. I'll go and zoom out here. So it comes in this plastic baggie, so just open it up here like this. It's a little bit hard to open, and then you take it out. So you have the base piece right here, and then this is the actual stand piece itself, and it just kind of fits in like so. I've not been able to insert this in correctly, so let me do this here for a moment. So yeah, just kind of insert it in there like that, and then this is kind of where the stand piece inserts into the base. And then you just kind of put it in like this, so you see the stand hole there just underneath that production number. So just insert it in like so. And there you go. So you got a nice cool looking model on a stand as well. And obviously the gear configuration stuff I left in the plastic cradle, so oh well. And then obviously the instruction manual, this one I did leave out. So I'll go ahead and put this in that little plastic baggie that it came with at the stand. So yeah, very, very solid model right here. Awesome effort by JetX, even if it is a much older model. Kind of wish that Gemini would do some of these in the future, but the Braniff licensing I've heard is a little bit difficult to get. Now I know that they did the Eldorado Electra recently, which I have in my collection, but I think they're a little bit more harsh on the Jelly Bean and the Flying Color stuff, and even the Ultra livery as well. That is the third iteration of the whole bright and bold colors that Braniff had on all their planes. So I kind of wish I could get one of those as well, so hopefully I'll be able to find one of those in the future. But let's move on to the final model for this portion of MU14. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1/400 scale Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 in the West Coast Wonders Orca livery. This is a model that I've heard a lot of great things about from many collectors, and I've always wanted to get this ever since they announced this a few months ago, so this has been very high on my list to get, and I'm super happy that I finally have this model in my collection. So here we go. There is the standard Gemini stuff. You know the drill at this point. Item number on this is GJASA 2078. And there's also that database sticker on there once again. But let's take a look. If I can get the cradle out. There we go. Takes a moment there sometimes. Yeah, my first Alaska Max, and I think my second Max 9 overall, and we are looking fantastic here. Nice. Everything is all good, and looks like we are not missing antennas either, which is fantastic. Very, very solid effort. This is awesome. Man, this thing is just a beauty when you see it in person. I love this livery already. So here she is, the Alaska 737 MAX 9 West Coast Wonders Orca livery by Gemini Jets. They did a fantastic job replicating this livery, I have to say, and it is very complex, especially with the tail design, with the real-life photo there, you can see it. Looks like they did really good on it, so let's go ahead and get started. Starting over the front, we got the cockpit windows, and you got the still somewhat false, proudly all Boeing sticker underneath there as well. Got a little ETOPS thing there, the MAX 9 titles there on the nose landing gear doors. Got the bright Alaska titles there in that white color, and then you have the Orcas here hopping around in the water until they splash out of the water, just like so on the tails. So look at that thing. That thing is just amazing. It is a little bit low res, but for the fact that they were able to replicate this so well in 1/400 scale is already impressive enough. So can't be exactly perfect, but this is still a fantastic effort by Gemini Jets. I have to give them so much credit for doing that. That is awesome. And the registration obviously is 932 Alpha Kilo with that November, of course. And then the winglets are just the standard Alaska stuff there with the green and blue there and the white on the advanced technology winglets. Beautifully attached antennae there and Wi-Fi domes. So no antennas missing on this, thankfully, and I think they might be missing a couple on the bottom, but you know what? That doesn't really matter at this point because antennae, they're really hard to attach on there anyway. And I'll just kind of flip it underneath here. You can see nice dark blue, which transitions into that more lighter blue color, and then you have like a teal color there as well around the wing area. And yeah, that is everything for this model. Super fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. I know I was recommended it so many times, and I'm finally happy to have this in my collection. So this will be a great piece for just more general display, but I can use this in a couple airport updates if the West Coast Wonders plane does visit a particular airport. So that will do it for this first portion of Massive Unboxing number 14 with 3 fantastic models over from Waffle Collectibles. So move on to the second part of MU14 with a pretty big order from PandaFox Toys. So let's head over there in about a week or so, but you'll be able to see it in just a few seconds. And here we go for the second order for Massive Unboxing number 14. This is a model I ordered shortly after the Christmas holiday and did get it whilst I was out of town visiting family. So I just got back not too long ago after eating a quick lunch, and now it's time for me to unbox this thing. So here we go. This is another model for the Retro FSD project, and this is another old school model again. As I continue to pile up on those assets, I should probably focus on some of the newer stuff, but problem is I've already got a lot of the newer stuff already, with a few exceptions, of course. But I can't really find some of the newer stuff right now, so I'm just hitting some of the older stuff as we speak. And then this is another model for an airline that was recently new to my collection. After some hesitation, one side of the box is open. Alright, so with that out of the way, there's a quick little packing slip, and now we got a big box of foam up here at the top, which I might try to use here. And I bought this off of eBay, so we do have some nice packing here, good protection for this particular model, which is all wrapped up in beautiful, beautiful layers of bubble wrap. And yeah, this may take me a moment to get through here. Looks like I got more tape holding this down from actually all sides. So this seller did a great job packing this, so thumbs up for that. And this is a very old school model, the first of its type in the collection. I already have 3 of the newer type in my collection, but this is of the older variant. And it is the Western Convair 240, and it looks like, oh no, that's not good. Looks like I got some landing gear that came off on this one, so this tends to be a very typical Aeroclassics issue, unfortunately. Yeah, so that ain't good. I'm not sure if I was maybe a little aggressive unboxing it, or if this happened in transit, or something else. I don't know, because the images that I found on the listing, it looked to be in good condition, so I have to assume that this was unfortunately caused by shipping. So then this is going to be another victim to the USPS mishandling of packages. So that's a little unfortunate. So we'll go ahead and unbox this, and we'll see what we can salvage from the damage. Well, let's try to unbox what we can here for the Aeroclassics 1 to 400 scale Western Airlines Convair 240. So this particular aircraft was one of the first aircraft for Western Airlines that flew to Sioux Falls, along with the DC-3 and the DC-6, which is what I already have in my collection. So this will be the 3rd Western model in my collection, and my 2nd from the 1950s that I will need. I just need a DC-3 now. So take a look at the box. We got Aeroclassics Convair CV440 Metropolitan. Of course, it's supposed to be a 240, but there were various types of the Convair 240. 1 to 400 scale there in the bottom left. And they got a nice little diagram there, the Convair 440, and also on the other side as well. And there's like a little sticker there for the item number and all that fun stuff. And here's the back of the box with a really cool looking Aeroclassics Convair CV440 Metropolitan. So let's see what we have for damage outside of what is already visible. So again, the listings I saw, or the images I saw in the listings, look to be in good shape, so I can only assume that shipping is to blame for this. And yeah, there we go, and take out what's left. So there is the landing gear, of course, and just checking this. God, I hope that didn't snap off. It looks like it did. That's just frustrating. Yeah, that's quite frustrating to say the least. I don't know what else I can tell you with that. So again, the listing images provided in the listing show the model in good condition, so I can only assume that shipping is to blame for the damages on this. So no negative feedback for the seller that I bought it from. He will get a good feedback here, but unfortunately, I don't think I can find another one of these. So it is what it is at this point, and honestly, I'm just frustrated with USPS's efforts, because they completely screwed up a perfectly good looking model, and they just destroyed it. And I don't even know if I can fix this, because the starboard landing gear has been snapped. It's like snapped clean off, so I don't even know if I can get like a bead of glue on that enough to the point where it will stay attached and not fall out later. But the nose gear came off clean, you can see there. This looks fine, but otherwise the rest of the model looks in good condition, so I know that no other further damage took place. But yeah, quite unfortunate to say the least. So I'm going to go ahead and try and fix this, and hopefully we can try to salvage what we can here. So hopefully I will return later on in the video with an update on this, because this is quite unfortunate. This is a good model I need for this project, and it sucks that it came in the condition like this. Again, I don't think I can fault the seller on this, because again, the images on the listing showed the model in good condition. Everything was all attached and whatnot, and nothing was provided in the description saying that the model was damaged. So this leads me to believe that the model was damaged in transit. So whilst USPS was handling, or should I say mishandling, my package, and thus damaged the model enough to the point where it could basically be unfixable. So that is the total damage out of that, with landing gears coming out. This one I believe is the main gear, if I'm not mistaken. And then that right there is the nose gear. That one should be easier to get on there. But the main gear that fell off is going to be hell to try and fix. Looks like even the propellers may be bent also. So again, I don't know if that's from shipping or if that's from something else. But yeah, that's quite unfortunate. So hopefully I'll be back later on in the video with an update. So we'll see you guys in the next order. Well, there is a happy ending to this story, as I was able to successfully fix this model. It was a little difficult to attach that main gear on, but after a couple of attempts, I was able to get it in, and it now sits proudly on my shelf with the rest of my retro FSD planes. So this will likely not be moved for the time being, as I don't necessarily need it out and about right now, but it does sit right behind the DC-6 that I did get for Christmas. So make sure to go check out Massive Unboxing number 13. I know I'm promoting that video a lot, but it was a really fun video that I got to produce, so I figured I would just go ahead and promote it as much as I can. Now, as for the propeller blades, I'm sure you're wondering about those and what I'm going to do with it. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is, because I don't want to damage this model any further by trying to attempt another repair, because, I mean, I don't see the propeller blades as much of an issue, at least from my perspective. I can see how it would be an issue for other people, especially if the propellers are bent that badly. But I think for me personally, I'm just going to leave them as is. Maybe I'll come back to them at a later date, but for right now, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So I don't really see much of an issue, but otherwise, it is a successful repair, and this model sits proudly on my shelf. So let's move on. And here we go for the third order for Massive Unboxing number 14. This is kind of a two-part order technically from PandaFox Toys. The first order that I placed contained all in-stock models, and the second order that I had with them are from pre-orders. So they are releases from the December 2022 release set. I picked up 3 models from that set, and this order right here, I have 3 models from various releases in 2022. So came on USPS, and I do love the fact that they put, you know, the fragile sticker right here. But of course, they dent the box again. So whatever USPS is doing with these packages half the time, it just baffles me. So kind of explains why we have these issues half the time. But yeah, let's just go ahead and try and get this open, and hopefully none of the models are beyond any sort of repair, because I would hate to go through something like that again, if I can help it. Alright, first flap is open. Let's get that second flap up here. Just kind of cutting a little bit around the corners here, and that should get us in. They chose a bit of a weird box for this. I don't know what made them decide to use this box instead of something else, but as long as it protects the models inside, I'm not going to complain about it. So I was a little bit off frame there, so sorry about that. Alright, let's go ahead and take out the various protection, and we have the first model in here, which looks like it does have the invoice. I'll go ahead and remove that. Our first model in here, we have the Icelandair 737 MAX 8. A release from the, I think it was a July-August 2022 releases. I have wanted an Icelandair model for a while, and this I figured would be a good opportunity to get one. And I like the light blue color tail that they chose, because my favorite color is blue after all, so I figured I'd get this one. Hopefully they'll do a MAX 9 in the future, because one of them now does have the new livery. I think there's actually a couple, rather. Got more protection in here, as we have, I believe, the last 2 that are wrapped up in here, and looks like we have, yep, we've got 2. So the second model that we have in here, a bit of an interesting choice, but I figured I'd get the Gemini rendition. We have the Delta Airbus A321neo, and it looks like the model in there is okay, at least from an initial inspection, because I know people are going to sit here and, you know, try to pick apart this mold, but I figured I'd get it because it is cheaper. It's like $10 cheaper than the Panda and NG renditions. And plus, PandaFox didn't even have the NG rendition. I've heard some issues with shipping for the Panda rendition from another place, but I don't know. I chose to get the Gemini rendition just mainly because it was cheaper. And then the last model that we have in here is the American Airbus A320, the newest release from Gemini Jets. So finally, I now have a CFM 320 in my collection, so I'm super happy about this. Let's go ahead and head up to the studio, and we will unbox all 3 of these guys. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 8. Released back in the July-August 2022 releases, this is a model that I have been interested in adding to my collection because I don't have an Icelandair model in my collection yet. I would love to get the Hekla Aurora 757-200, or even some of the other special 757 liveries they have, like the 100 Years of Independence one that I saw, which is on the 757-300, which I did see in Chicago twice, actually, once when I was spotting at the Dave & Buster's parking garage, and again at that baseball game as part of the Airliners International Convention. And I also want that 80 Years of Flight livery as well, the 752, which both of those have been made by Gemini. Actually, all three of them, rather, have been made by Gemini previously. So I would like to add those in my collection at some point, but they are pretty hard to find. But of course, you got your standard Gemini Jets box with this 737 MAX, so nothing too interesting on here, and there is just some of the applicable details with the aircraft pamphlet, 2022 release as to be expected, and our outer number on this is GJICE, or ICE, 2123. Alright, so I got the other boxes off to the side, so that's why you see them over there, but let's see how our first model is doing. We are looking good right here, QC. It looks like we are in good shape, so not bad, Gemini. Good job. And here she is, the Icelandair 737 MAX 8 by Gemini Jets. Starting off at the front, we've got the little cockpit windows there, and it looks like maybe a little aircraft name of some sort. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at that. I'm not going to focus that well on there. Yeah, it might be an aircraft name because Icelandair does name their aircraft after, usually, I think it's like geographic locations within Iceland, so they're like really unique names. So I'll go ahead and try to find the aircraft name for this specific aircraft, and I'll put it up on your screen. I'm sure it will be some sort of geographical location within the country, whether it's like a volcano or like an ice glacier or something similar. And of course, you got the L1 door right there in the middle of your screen, and then you got the big Icelandair logos, and then you have the registration back over here with Tango Foxtrot Dash India Charlie Echo, and then you have the Icelandair tail, which they've kept the same logo, but they've changed the design of it, of course. Now with different colored tails there, that little band towards the front of the tail, you have this one here with a light blue color. There are some yellow ones, and there's like a pink one as well from what I've seen. And I think they're supposed to represent different elements of Iceland, so I think this blue one here would represent like snow and ice, so kind of like the wintry side of the country, which is what Iceland is most known for. And then we'll flip the aircraft underneath. You got the normal Gemini Jets details, nothing too interesting here. And you also got the registration underneath the port wing, it looks like. And of course, all the antennae and everything, just taking a quick look at that. You got two on the top, both of which are installed on there, pretty much in a good position. The SATCOM dome, a little bit off the fuselage there, but it is attached, so I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. And also another little detail I just noted on the winglets, you see the little Icelandair logo right there, just on the inside of the winglet. Now we do have some slight upward tilt with the engine. It's not called rocket ship engines, because I know I've used this term before and I've seen it elsewhere, but it's not necessarily called rocket ship, because if that was the case, that would imply that the engines are pointing straight up, and that is not the case with these 737 MAXs. So preferably, I would like people to not use the term rocket ship to describe engines that are tilting upward like that. So something more common like an upward tilt of the engines would be a little more applicable in this case. But yeah, so both these engines, they kind of do have it, but this one here, not too bad. This one actually looks really good. So good effort by Gemini Jets nonetheless. Otherwise, the tilt is very minor, so I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. It is a fantastic model, good effort from Gemini Jets, and I'm very happy to have this model in my collection. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale American Airlines Airbus A320. Kind of off the ledge of the window there a little bit, so I wanted to move that back before it fell off. So, of course, your standard Gemini Jets box art here, nothing unusual, but finally happy that they did another CFM 320. This is their second release and their third American A320 that they've done. I have the IAE release from 2020, which was heavily criticized for incorrect color on the entire plane, basically. It was like a really deep, dark gray. This one, I've heard, has had a few complaints about the color as well, but I'll go ahead and take a look at this myself before giving a proper assessment on it. Item number on this bad boy right here is GJAAL2085. I could have sworn they used that item number, but I could be mistaken. I think I'm probably having some other feeling or something, but let's go ahead and take a look. Check again. It looks like we got all the antennae in there, and this one looks pretty good. Obviously cold to the touch since it is kind of cold outside, needless to say. Just go ahead and check all the parts, and we are in good shape. Good job, Gemini Jets. And here she is, the American Airbus A320 with the CFM engines by Gemini Jets. We got a pretty okay model here. This is looking really good, so let's go ahead and get started. Starting off at the front, we got the cockpit windows, got the L1 door, you got 2 antennae and a SATCOM dome up there as well. Got the CFM engines, which again, they are a little bit big, but they are not touching the ground, which is good news. Got the American titles, of course, and then the registration, which is November 103 Uniform Sierra. I really want the first CFM release, which is 117 Uniform Whiskey. I flew on that exact aircraft from Charlotte to Minneapolis back in August of 2018, and I was really hoping I'd find one a little while ago, but I never got around to getting it, so no longer available, unfortunately. But I'll take this second CFM release to boot. So yeah, the color is definitely a little darker than what I'm used to, but then again, I think, you know, it could be better, but it could also be worse. I don't think it's as bad as the 2020 IAE release, but otherwise, I can't really complain here too much. So here's the underneath of the model. It got no antennae, so thankfully don't have to worry about falling out, or parts falling out rather. And yeah, that's pretty much all of our other little details here. Again, the A320 mold has the standard faults with like the nose and the engines and even the wings and whatnot. But again, for what they have here, I would consider this an acceptable effort by Gemini Jets. So I'll give them a good score on this if I were to do scores. But I don't do them because I don't want to come off as, I don't want to give, you know, unfair scores to particular models, you know. So that's why I don't do scoring and all that. So we'll go ahead and move on to the final model for this portion of MU14. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A321neo. So basically why I chose to get the Gemini version over something like the Panda and the NG, which is obviously better than the Gemini version, is because it is cheaper. It's about $10 or so cheaper compared to the Panda rendition that I saw on PandaFox's website, and I think the NG is about the same price as well, so I figured I'd just go for the cheaper option and settle for the Gemini release, and I am more than willing to accept some of the risks that this A321neo mold is known for, whether it is detached wings or some other similar issue, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about those issues because it is not worth my time. So of course, standard Gemini box art, nothing unusual here. 2022 release, I remember when this was released. This is pretty good effort here. Item number on this is GJDAL2164, so the item numbers are creeping all the way up. Now this mold, or at least this release rather, I haven't heard too many QC issues, which is good news, so hopefully mine is not affected in any way. Oh wow, we are gonna be good here. Holy cow. Nice. Solid effort, Gemini. 3 for 3. And here she is, the Delta Airbus A321neo by Gemini Jets. We're looking at a really solid model here. I like the effort that Gemini has carried off on this one, so there is a couple minor faults, but again, I'm not going to sit here and moan about it because it's not worth my time and not worth, you know, my oxygen and whatnot. So let's just go ahead and look at some of the more positive stuff. Starting off at the front, we've got the cockpit windows right over here. We got the L1 door, the Delta logo over here, which Gemini tends to kind of stretch the Delta titles a little bit. That seems to be the norm for some of these Gemini releases. Got the American flag back over here. November 501 Delta Alpha is the registration. Haven't seen one of these Delta A321neos yet, but they have been flying out of Minneapolis quite frequently now. But they've also been flying out of other airports like Seattle, Boston, LAX, and some of their other hub airports. So I'm really hopeful that I will get to see one of these in the future, since it looks like it's a really nice aircraft, and some of the cabin product that I've been hearing is really good on this plane. So here's the underneath of it. Got the Delta belly, of course, so your applicable details underneath. Gemini Jets logo, no antennae up here. Got 3 on the top, and of course the SATCOM dome, and the wings and everything look fantastic. So nothing broken coming out of all 3 of these models that I ordered, and I'm really happy with Gemini's effort on this. So just one more thing, too, that I'll hit on before we move on is I live by buy what you like and like what you buy, and I recommend that others do the same. So I bought the Gemini because it is cheaper, and I am more than happy with the effort that Gemini has put out on this one. And for those that want to get the NG or are perhaps waiting for NG to do another rendition because they sold out on this current one, feel free to do that. I will not sit here and force people to buy what I think they should buy. I am not that type of person, but I will be enjoying the Gemini release for what it is, because it is a really good model despite some of the flaws that this mold is known to have. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the last order for Massive Unboxing number 14. Now, as I record this order has not yet been shipped, but I'm hopeful it will be shipping out pretty soon. I do go back to college here in just a couple of days, so this video may be a little bit delayed if I do get busy with school and all that, various assignments from my classes, of course. So this video is going to be released on a basis where, you know, if I have time to finish everything, I will get it out. But hopefully it's not too late into January. So without further ado, let's go ahead and cut it out to the fourth order and the last one for Massive Unboxing 14. And here we are at the final portion of Massive Unboxing number 14. So these boxes accumulated over the course of about a week or so because I was actually up at college. I just got back from my first week back for my second semester. Everything's going really smoothly, and I'm really happy with where I'm at so far. So we'll go ahead and start off with these first two boxes. We're going to save this other one for later. So I'll put that one off to the side, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. But I do want to unbox this one first because it is still applicable enough, I would say. So I tried to get the shipping label off this thing, but of course I couldn't because the material that they use, or whatever they use to seal this, is really difficult to work with. So it doesn't, like, you know, the shipping label doesn't come off that easily. So, alright, so just made a quick little indentation, and now go ahead and get all this stuff opened up here. So I bought these timetables from the same seller that I got the other ones from, the DKO guy on eBay. Seems like he's got a great eBay store, so I definitely recommend him if you're looking for more aviation timetables, airline timetables, and all that. So we do have, I think there should be 3 in here. Alright, a little invoice there was enclosed within the packaging, so let's go ahead and take them out. So I got them all wrapped up in this nice little protective sleeve, along with, of course, the eBay tape. So, of course, you have that going on here. And I see like a Coca-Cola advertisement on the back of one of these. It's kind of hilarious. So it looks like you do have a little thing of cardboard there to keep the timetables protected whilst in transit. And, oh, okay, so he has them in 2 different sleeves, I see. So that's why the eBay tape is there. But here's the first timetable we have. This is a TWA timetable from June 15th of 1996. So, yes, I will be doing a 1996 Retro FSD update in the future. So I did buy a couple timetables. I did not get a Northwest and Delta one because those are already available online, so I can just look at that information online. I'll check out the other one here, so let me try to get this eBay tape off again, because I failed miserably the last time. So just putting it back in the plastic sleeve there for protection, because I'll get to that later. And here's the guy's business card as well. He always includes these with every timetable that you buy, so, or at least every order that you make with him, he does include one of those. So it looks like this is opened up a little differently than what I expected, but here we are. Here's the next timetable. We have a United Airlines, United Express, and Shuttle by United timetable from June to July of 1996, so similar time frame to the TWA one. And then we also have this one in here, which, oops, that's the wrong sign. There's the Coca-Cola advertisement I was talking about. We have this US Air timetable from June 15th of 96, so just like the TWA one. I was thinking US Air Express would have operated here, but I did see a photo of a route map, which, if I can find it in here, because I found a photo of it online, and it did not show Sioux Falls on there, so I'm thinking sometime by that year they had discontinued it. So it's on the back cover, and as you can see, I'll bring this in a little bit closer. You probably can't see it all that well, but Sioux Falls, not mentioned on the timetable, so kind of a little bit pointless to get this, but oh well. I'll be sure to start collecting timetables in general, because I do love airline timetables now. I've really gotten into those now, thanks to the Retro FSD project, and obviously my general love for retro aviation now. So that is everything with this first box. I'm going to go ahead and get everything all put back into the plastic seal and everything, or the plastic packaging, just so that everything is protected. I will make separate videos on these 3 timetables, so these 2, and of course this one as well. So if you want to see more information on that, be sure to keep an eye out for a separate video on those 3 timetables in the future. Last 2 videos haven't really done that well, so there must not be enough interest. So if there's any way I can make these timetable videos a little more engaging for you guys, let me know, and I will be sure to take on some of that feedback. So I already did for the second timetable video that I did, and I'll be happy to take more feedback for the next one so that I can have a really good video for you guys. So there's all the timetables. We'll set that to the side for now, and we're going to go ahead and continue with the next box right here. So this is another eBay order. I ordered this at the same time as the timetables, so found this on eBay as an auction. I was going to get a second model with this, but somebody got me out at the last second. Or somebody outbid me, rather. And here it is inside. We have a beautiful looking model in here. This is a retro FSD model, so we got two in this unboxing. Really happy with how far the project has come, and this will be another critical asset for the project. I already have another one of this type, but I figured getting one of these wouldn't hurt. But it is the Aeroclassics 737-200 with the United Airlines livery. And just checking to make sure everything is there. It looks like everything is good, so this model should be in great condition. This was released, I believe, in February of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So this is still a pretty recent release, but Aeroclassics releases tend to sell out rather quickly, so they do become very hard to find. And as I've seen with the Ozark DC-9 that was announced recently, that has sold out pretty much everywhere. In eBay listings that I've seen, they're at pretty horrendous prices. So if you want one of those now, kind of too late there, buddy. So hopefully this United model will look fantastic, rather. Sorry, I can't talk. I've been so excited to unbox all this stuff. But hopefully this model will look fantastic, and I'm looking forward to add this into my collection. Another great retro FSD asset. So let's head into the studio, and we will unbox it. And here we go for the unboxing of the Aeroclassics 1:400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737-200 in the Saul livery. So United sent the 737s to Sioux Falls throughout much of the 1990s. They sent the 737-200 and 300, and then later the 737-500 when they got those in their fleet. So the 200s, they weren't seen as often as the 300s, but I'm thinking that as I go back in time into the 90s for retro FSD, I figured needing one of these would be pretty applicable. But they've had the 733s, I think from around like the late 80s, early 90s or so. United started here in 83 with 727s and 737-200s, so it would still be helpful to have one of these, but having a 300 as well for the later eras does not hurt at all. So that's kind of part of the reason why I got this, and I'll be on the eye for a 722 as well. So, of course, the Aeroclassics box is uniquely designed here with this specific aircraft type. So on the top, you got Aeroclassics, Boeing 737, 1:400 scale, right down there. And then we have our little barcode thing right here with the United logo, the registration, which is November 90068 uniform, and, of course, the tulip tail. On the side here, you got 737-300, 737-700, and 737-800. So here's the back of the box, just with the big Boeing 737 titles, a little QR code, so I'm not sure if you can really scan that, but it looks like it'll take you to Aeroclassics' website, I'm guessing. But, yeah. Let's just go ahead and unbox this beauty. I'm super excited about this. This will be my first Aeroclassics 737-200, and my third overall in the collection, second for retro FSD, so check this out. Whew, very nice. Nice and solid effort, and looks really good. No missing pieces, nothing. No antenna as well, so that's one less thing I have to worry about. So great job, Aeroclassics. Fantastic effort. And here she is, the United 737-200 in the Saul livery by Aeroclassics. This is looking like a really solid model, and from what I understand, the older Aeroclassics 732s, they used to have an issue with a process known as zinc rot. So basically, that's a well-understood process where the zinc crystals, they kind of start to go through a weird process, and then as such, the metal starts to crack, and it looks like the model is rotting away, there of the name. So pretty interesting process with that, but thankfully, as far as I know, none of my models that I currently have in my collection are known to zinc rot. My American 757 first release, though, has some weird paint cracking, which is usually a sign of zinc rot, but it hasn't really worsened or anything. It is a 2008 release, which is kind of right at the tail end of where all the zinc rot issues were taking place, but it looks like everything's been fixed. And this release right here for Aeroclassics, this is on a newer 737-200 mold, which from what I understand should eliminate any possibility of these models rotting away in the future. So starting off at the front, we got the beautiful cockpit windows right here, got the L1 door, the little tulip, and the big United title. So this is a later rendition of the Saul livery, as the earlier rendition had smaller United titles. So some of the 737s wore this, but for the time period that I need this, the larger titles are more applicable. And then here we have the registration, November 90068 uniform, and then we have the United tail, along with the beautiful Pratt & Whitney engines there underneath the wings. So very unique design choice that Boeing went with the 737, putting the engines pretty much underneath the wing, and then as they got the larger CFM56s, they had to push them outward, as you might have seen on some like classic 737s, so in the 3, 4, and 500s and all that. Aeroclassics is not known to have any antennas on their models. They don't put them on there for whatever reason. It is kind of interesting, but it is one less thing you have to worry about coming broken. So the only exterior detail we have on here really is just this little red beacon above the United title. So you can kind of see it right there, the little red dot on your screen. Otherwise, a very solid model with nothing broken on it. So fantastic effort by Aeroclassics. This will work great for the retro FSD project. So super happy about this acquisition and looking forward to using this in the future. So I might use this in the 96 update because it did fly right around that time. I'll be sure to check my United 96 timetable just to see what flights were there. But I don't think United ever listed aircraft types on their timetables, but I'll be sure to look into that later on. So let's go ahead and move on to our final order for this massive unboxing. We've had quite a lot of orders in here, so hopefully you guys have stuck through this video so far. And if you have, thanks so much for sticking around. But we got one more order and we got 3 models in it. All of them have been pre-orders that I've had on order for a little while, but let's go ahead and check them out. So let's go. And here we are for the final order for Massive Unboxing number 14. So all the models that I have in this box, they are from the Gemini Jets December 2022 releases. 3 of these models really interested me, and I'm super happy to have these in my collection now. So if I can work through this packing tape, I know that nobody's really said anything about it in the comments section, but I'm wondering if somebody will now that I mention it. But there we go. We made ourselves some great progress through the packing tape before it was suddenly stopped. So I'll go ahead and continue to work through this, and we'll continue. Hit the underneath of my arm there trying to get that open, but here we go. Let's go ahead and check everything out. We should have one model on top, and I'm guessing an order invoice will be enclosed in one of these boxes. So let's take a look at the first one up top, and I know what this one is, and I've been looking forward to this ever since Gemini announced it. Yes, sir. How about this? We have the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Northwest Orient Lockheed L188 Electra. Been very excited about this ever since Gemini announced this. I never really requested it, but Northwest models are always applicable in my collection, no matter the era. And of course, the invoice is always enclosed in one of the boxes. This time it was in the Delta, not the Northwest, because it wouldn't fit. But here we go. We have the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Delta Airbus A220-300. Been looking for one of these for a while, and I was happy that Gemini released one of these. And then this model I've been looking forward to, the first of its kind in 1:400 scale, actually in any scale of any kind, rather. This is the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Avelo Boeing 737-800. Now, I've heard that there has been some issues with the wing flex and all that, or the wing angle, rather, on some of these models, and it looks like some QC issues are also present. But taking a look at this model from an initial glance, it looks like everything should be attached. Even the antenna are there, which is fantastic news. So hopefully nothing will be broken when I take this out of the box. So we're going to go ahead and do everything from smallest box to largest box. We'll kind of go ahead and go in this order right here. So we'll do the Northwest first, then the Delta, and then the Avelo. So let's go ahead and hop in. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Northwest Lockheed L188 Electra. Kind of switching between Northwest and Northwest Orient here, but I think it's technically under the Northwest Orient name, but since it just has the Northwest name right there on the bottom of the box, I'll just go ahead and call it the Northwest L188 Electra. I'm loving the box art on this box once again because we have another real-life image from the wonderful Bob Polanexi. Again, I'm probably not pronouncing your last name right, so again, I do apologize if you're watching this video. But we have a wonderful box art on there with that real-life photo, and there is the beauty that she is inside. That thing looks amazing. It just looks gorgeous in there. But your standard Gemini stuff otherwise on the rest of the box, nothing else too interesting here. Item number on this is GJNWA2125. Been very happy about Gemini's efforts with the Electras recently. They have also announced the Eastern Golden Falcon one finally, and I will be getting that into my collection as well, so I'm looking forward to that. And let's take this beauty out. Let's see what she is all about. Wow, yes. Super happy. And there goes the plastic. But my goodness, this thing. Wow. Amazing effort. Super happy to have this. Let's go ahead and look at this in depth. And here she is, the Northwest L188 Electra by Gemini Jets. This will now be my 6th Electra in the collection, which has been quite impressive because my Electra fleet entering into 2022, it was just at 1 with that Eastern hockey stick that was released in 2021. But now that I have 6 is quite impressive, and I'm really happy about Gemini's efforts with the Electra mold recently, as they've done. Now that I have the American, I have the Braniff, and now this Northwest one as well. Actually, the National, I should mention. I forgot about the National. So the National, and then this Northwest, and I will be getting that Eastern Golden Falcon as well. I've been looking forward to them announcing that formally as part of their main release set after they announced it as a future release. But let's go ahead and focus on the Northwest Electra for now. So starting off at the front, we got a beautiful black nose underneath. Not very very familiar with this livery, so I'm going to go and take a little closer look at this, but look at the nose right here. Beautiful. With the black nose, you got the little red and white cheat line right there, a little accent there. And I got the cockpit windows and a little 128 there on the nose gear. Got the Northwest Orient Airlines titles there, so I guess it would be Northwest Orient technically, but the rest of the livery otherwise says just Northwest. And you got a nice deep blue cheat line above the windows there, the passenger windows, with the Northwest titles there in white. Then you have the registration November 128 Uniform Sierra, and then we also have the Northwest tail. So just a big bright red tail with little Northwest titles right there. So I think this aircraft, I did look up this registration online, and I did see that it went to like Air Holiday or something, but it kept the primary Northwest livery, which is kind of interesting. So that's what I found there, quite fascinating. And then here's the underneath of the plane, got all the landing gear on there. My Braniff actually lost one of its wheels, but I later discovered it was kind of on me because as I was moving it around, one of the wheels fell out. So that's that one I'll take responsibility for. But the wheels on this one look okay. They're a little bit forward there on the both the left-hand side wheels on both the main gear, they're a little bit more forward than they should be. But otherwise, everything is in good condition. So looks like all the propellers there and everything are in a fantastic shape. If it will focus, there you go. And of course, they got the polished underbelly accurate as well. So a super fantastic model to add to the collection. My 6th Electra now in my fleet, like I said, and I will make it lucky number 7 with that Eastern Golden Falcon when I get that in and when I get that ordered, and obviously when that arrives into retailers later on. So let's go ahead and move on with the unboxing. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A220-300. I have the first Delta A220 release from 2018, the A220-100, but I've been looking for a 300 release, and I know they did one back in, gosh, I'm trying to think, like 2019 or 2020, I think is when they did the 300 release, the first one, but that one was on the very crappy Herpa mold there with the plastic strut that they use as the nose gear. I have more of a preference for the new one because it has that detail on the nose gear, but there has been some criticism of this mold because it has a very tall nose gear now instead of how it should have been before, or at least a little bit closer to what it was on the old Herpa mold. So flip it open there and you can see everything looks like it's all in great condition. Not noticing anything missing off the top right off the bat there, so it looks like everything is in good condition. That is fantastic. So just wanted to check that, of course, because obviously the QC issues, seems like they may have come back to bite Gemini in the butt again, so a little unfortunate with that. 2022 release, and they got a number, and this is GJDAL 2100. Alright, looks like, oh, something on top of that there. I don't know what that was. There's like a little white spot there, a little white speckle on the plastic cradle. And here we go, looking really good. Very nice. Oh, looks like the, uh-oh, that ain't good. One of the main gears like twisted a little bit. That's a bit unfortunate. But otherwise, just doing a little QC check. I'll do it on camera here just to show you guys. Looks like everything is in great shape, so fantastic effort by Gemini, despite the little issue there with the nose gear, which doesn't bother me that much, but I can see why it could be an issue for others. And here she is, the Delta Airbus A220-300 by Gemini Jets. Right off the bat, you can tell that the nose gear is indeed taller, as you do have that nose up stance as you look from the nose onward back. And yeah, you can definitely tell that there is a slight issue with this mold, but I still stand by what I said earlier, that this is better than whatever they had with the Herpa one, and while the proportions were a little more accurate on the old one, I definitely like the detail on this newer one better. So I'm definitely thinking if you could have some sort of trade-off with the detail on the Herpa mold and keep the more accurate proportions, then I think we could have a bit of a happier opinion on this A220. But moving on from that, let's go ahead and check out this particular Delta unit. So starting off, we have the cockpit windows, got a little Sky Team logo, then you have the L1 door with the Delta widget, and then the Delta titles all across. American flag, November 305 Delta uniform is the registration, and the Delta tail. And you got your various exterior details on top. You got 3 antennae and also a Wi-Fi dome up there at the top. No antennae underneath, but looks like there are just some other minor details that were printed on. Of course, the lovely Delta belly resides underneath, and along a little white outline there, right where the wing seam would normally be on some of the older cradle molds. But since this is a slot-in mold, it looks much nicer. So very happy that they did one of these on the newer mold, but of course, again, proportions a little bit off, but I like the detail on this one better, so that's kind of where my preference stands. So yeah, a lovely looking model here outside of some of the minor flaws that this particular mold has, but I'm more than happy with this particular model, very happy with it. And this will be very applicable for a lot of random model airport updates where I do need one of these 220-300s. I'll continue to use the older 220-100 that I have. I figured it's just best for me to hang on to the one I have, even if the Herpa landing gear I don't really have much of a preference with if I don't like it, so whatever. It is what it is, but let's go ahead and check out the Avelo, and I know that one has had a couple of issues, a little bit more than the Delta, so we'll go ahead and see if mine is intact or not. And here we go for the unboxing of the Gemini Jets 1-400 scale Avelo Airlines Boeing 737-800. First ever Avelo release in scale, in either 400 or 200 scale. I'm very excited about this because I've just been wanting an Avelo model for quite a while. I was happy when Gemini did the Breeze stuff back in March and April, I think, of 2022. It was either April or May they did the 220, but I know the Embraer 195 was in March. But now that we have our first Avelo release, I'm looking really forward to this, even though this model has some very questionable flaws at best. So standard Gemini stuff here, nothing too unusual, but let's go ahead and unbox this. So item number on this is GJVXP2057. So we'll see how this one turned out, if we have anything broken. I'm hopeful we don't. PandaFox usually gets the better QC one, so let's take a look. Oh wow, we are good. How about that? Oh wow. I guess the wing flex, well, I mean, the right wing doesn't look all that great, but the left wing looks okay, so yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and we'll just work with it. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this a little more in detail. Well, this is one that has definitely garnered a lot of conversation across the community, especially after photos surfaced, and there was a lot of concern over the wing flex and whatnot, and there's definitely some concern here I have on this one, on my unit as well. But here it is, the Avelo 737-800 by Gemini Jets. Go ahead and just do a normal review, and then I'll just try to point out some of the issues that I see with this one. But starting off at the front, we got the cockpit windows, got the L1 door, the large Avelo titles, the beautiful Avelo tail there on the back, and also the logo perfectly replicated there on the split-tip winglets there. You can't really see it that well. Flipping underneath, we have the Avelo logo there just ahead of the wing area, and then also the blue, or purple rather, color there that seeps underneath. And of course, the standard Gemini Jets details here, nothing too unusual. So we should have two antennae up at the top, and we do. Everything looks to be attached. Nothing on the bottom, but that's to be expected. They sometimes forego some of those exterior details. And now, let's go ahead and assess some of the slight flaws that my particular unit has. So the first one that I do want to point out is the cockpit window printing. A little askew to the right, but if you look at it like this, it's not necessarily that noticeable. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world, but it is definitely noticeable when you look at it directly on like this. So not necessarily the best print job in the world, and that's quite unfortunate. And of course, the wing flex. That is what everybody has been debating about for quite a while, and this is how mine turned out. You can see the left wing is pretty much level. There should be a little bit of an angle up towards the top, whereas this right one just kind of shoots right up. It's like trying to wave to you. It's like trying to say hello or something. So yeah, that's kind of the issue that we have with that particular side of the model here. But yeah, so that's just kind of how this model turned out, and it is unfortunate that this Avelo model has its flaws, so I definitely see why people are waiting for the NG release, and I can respect that. I probably won't get it, obviously, because I had this 800, but if they do a 737-700 before Gemini does, I will probably get the NG release, so I'm just hopeful that Gemini will fix these issues before it becomes rampant again, because I know that Gemini has definitely gotten a lot of criticism recently. There's been a lot of conversation about that recently, so hopefully they're able to resolve some of these issues before it gets out of hand again, like where it was around 2020, late 2019 or so, right around when COVID hit, when all those issues were becoming really noticeable and the community was pointing them out, you know, time and time and time again. Yeah, just to kind of move on from that, I'm not going to sit here and criticize this model every time I look at it. I think I've already made my point here, and I've seen a lot of the what other people have been discussing regarding this Avelo model, and I can definitely see the criticisms now. Now that I have one of my own here, I'm a little bit disappointed about the cockpit window printing there. That's quite unfortunate, but I'm hopeful that it wasn't across the entire production batch and is just rather me getting unlucky with this particular unit having the bad cockpit window printing.
But yeah, the wing flex seems to be a little bit more common across the entire production batch there, especially the right wing. Again, left wing looks okay. I would consider that a little more acceptable than this right wing, despite that. But otherwise, I'd still say this is a pretty decent model. I would still recommend it if you can overlook some of the flaws that this has, but if you are looking for a more higher quality model, I would definitely wait for NG to do one of these at some point. My only concern with that is that when exactly that's going to happen, no one knows. I'm sure they have it in their production plans, but it's just a matter of when their plan clears up enough to where they can do the Avelo, because I'm sure there's a lot of other things they have that are more priority to do sooner rather than later. So I would not be surprised if Avelo is like another 3 to 6 months out or even longer for NG before they release it. So hopefully their rendition is better than this Gemini one here, but even still, the Gemini one is okay. I know that there's flaws on this, and I'm willing to accept that for what it is. So hopefully the rest of the Avelo stuff doesn't come broken from Gemini or whatever else that still has yet to arrive with collectors, because I know there's been a couple issues where the wings have come off, which, again, very common issue, but that's to be expected. There's a little paint chip as well, I noticed just above the wing, which if I can get that to focus, you can kind of see it right there. It's very, very minor. It's not that noticeable when you look at it from afar, so again, I won't sit here and criticize that every time I see this model. But otherwise, I consider this a pretty decent model. And that will do it for Massive Unboxing number 14. I'll go ahead and get all the models wrapped up here, put back on the window ledge, and we'll go ahead and talk about each one of them individually, and just talk about some other general stuff. And there you have it, everybody. Massive Unboxing number 14 is officially complete. We have a total of 11 models in this unboxing, which I'm really happy with. This is another huge unboxing once again, so really fortunate with all the acquisitions that I made. Of course, we'll go ahead and take a look at each one of them individually, so I'm going to move over to the back, of course, where we have the Avelo, which was just unboxed not too long ago. Again, the issue with the wing flex, and it is what it is. Then we have the Delta, which looks really good, minus that nose gear. Then we have the Icelandair, a fantastic model. I love that thing to bits. Then we have the American A320. Color is, I would say, semi-okay. It could definitely be worked on if they do it again. We have the Delta Neo, which is actually really good, despite some of the criticisms that this mold has, especially with like the wing angle and stuff and the engines touching the ground, which it seems like they fixed the latter, but they've had to sacrifice on that wing angle a little bit. Move on down to this absolutely gorgeous Alaska West Coast Wonder 737 MAX 9. What a fantastic thing this model is. Like, my goodness, this livery is just incredible. Gemini did a wonderful job replicating this. Then we have some of our retro stuff. First retro FSD model right here, a Western Convair 240. A bit unfortunate with the issues that, how it arrived in, rather. God, I can't talk. Bit unfortunate with how this model arrived with the detached landing gear, the nose gear coming off, and also the right main gear snapped off, which was really scary at first, but thankfully I was able to salvage this and the model sits in perfect condition. The beautiful Northwest Orient Lockheed L188 Electra, my 6th Electra in the fleet. Really happy with that. Then we have our other retro FSD model for this unboxing, the United 737-200 Saul Bass by Aeroclassics, another great model. And then here's a JetX Braniff 727 Flying Colors, another good model. And then lastly, the Air Canada CRJ 900. So a great lineup of models here in Massive Unboxing number 14. A nice dollop of retro, but a lot of more modern stuff in here, so that's why there is not as much of a retro vibe in this unboxing as there was in 13, that I did back on Christmas. But 15, I'm expecting will be a pretty good unboxing as well. I'm thinking if I do go to Minneapolis between now and before Airliners in June, Massive Unboxing number 15 will be squeezed in right there, and then 16, I'm anticipating will be at Airliners unless something else happens where I get a bunch of models again, but I'm not anticipating that, so I'm thinking it'll be 15 sometime around March if I do a Minneapolis trip. If not, it will be at Airliners, but if I do have a Minneapolis trip in March where I get a lot of models, then 16 will be in around June, July or so, depending on when I get the video uploaded. So with that being said, that is the end of another fantastic Massive Unboxing video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.